Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the AVARICE podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, TJump. He is a debater and philosopher. You might have seen him on Modern Day Debate, or perhaps you've seen him against another debate bro, like Vouch, Destiny, or on the Hake Report. He debates a wide range of people, including theists, philosophers, professors, and flat earthers. He's a really cool guy. Should definitely check out his YouTube channel. His link will be in the description. And he's also founded a atheist church, and you can find more information about that in the GoFundMe page in the description and in the pinned comment below. Now, let's just jump right into it. So you have one this Friday, you said? That's right?
Yeah, supposed to.
Okay, I'll make sure I set the notifications on for it. I noticed that a lot of times I don't get the notifications from Modern Day Debate for some reason, even though I have the bell on, so I always have to make sure I click the specific debate, and then I'll actually get the alert for it.
Yeah, people have been telling me that about my YouTube channel also. I think it's a YouTube thing.
That sucks. I don't get why YouTube's the way it is. I have a few, like, rapid-fire, kind of quick questions to get us going. That should be faster, and then we'll get into the ones that should have a little bit longer answers, I think, and maybe a bit more dialogue.
Right.
What is your favorite TV show?
Firefly or Stargate? Stargate.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Kung Fu Panda.
Nice. Favorite historical figure?
Oh, I do not have a favorite historical figure. I'm not a fan of people as much as I am ideas. And so individuals, like you asked what my favorite philosopher is, same thing. I don't have a favorite particular individual.
Do you have a top 5 presidents? Because I do understand you want to be a president someday, so you have top 5? Don't have to agree with them entirely, just that you think have had a positive impact.
I think that FDR, LBJ, Kennedy, Lincoln, Washington, they all had some very positive impacts in the policies that they promoted.
Do you have a favorite video game?
Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2.
Oh, really? Okay. That's really funny. I just recently got Ninja Gaiden Black for the original Xbox, like, yesterday. So that's kind of funny.
I was top 10 on the leaderboards for a long time.
Really? That's awesome. So let's get into the little bit more meaty questions. So you're a philosopher. What kind of started your journey towards getting into philosophy?
I had major depression my entire life for 30 years or something. And I got into philosophy as a way to try to overcome the depression. I thought that learning more about philosophical concepts, the way the world worked, knowledge, politics, science, those things would help me to overcome my depression. And so I got into philosophy as a means to try to overcome the depression.
And you went to a private school, is that correct?
Yes, Catholic school, both grade school and high school.
So were you raised in a religious home then?
Yes. My parents were both very Christian, and they're still very Christian.
So what started your departure from the religion that you're raised in and exposed to?
Also the depression. So having major depression made it impossible for me to believe that there was an all-loving being who really cared about me and was there for my well-being.
How would you describe your philosophical worldview? I understand you believe in objective moral values, for example, but how would you define your philosophy?
Yeah, so I wrote an epistemology and a model of morality. My epistemology states that you have to use evidence proportional to the claim. So empirical claims require empirical evidence, conceptual claims require conceptual evidence, metaphysical claims require metaphysical evidence. And my morality states that any involuntary imposition of will is immoral. Those are the two foundations of my worldview.
Okay. And so, with objective morality, do you think it's just something that exists like math or physics, where it's just like a constant in our existence,
Sort
like in
of.
the universe?
Yeah, sort of. I think it is a actual thing that exists. I think there is a correct answer to the problem, and I think that science will be able to discover it in the future. So I think it's something, some physical process will be discovered to be objective morality. Kind of like how math describes the way reality is. Morality will describe something about reality also.
Do you think that there is any, like, if you were held at gunpoint, what would you say was the best argument for Islam?
It's not as bad as Christianity. I think that would be the best argument. So the best argument for Islam is that there's not as many mistakes as there are in the Bible.
So if you were held at gunpoint, you had to make an argument for Christianity, then what would you do then?
Um, Not as bad as Scientology.
There we go. That's a good starting point, I think. Do you think that old Earth creationists or theistic evolutionists are more rational than young Earth creationists, or do you think they're equally as misled or irrational?
I think it kind of depends on your definition of rationality. I think that you can always make up different ways to make any possible hypothetical explanation fit all of the data. So, like, we can say, the whole world was created 5 minutes ago by a magical farting leprechaun or something, and that would be, and you can make all of the evidence fit that data. The question is, how far do you have to stretch it? So I'd say that young Earth creationists probably have to stretch significantly farther than other ideologies, so like they could probably be considered to be more irrational in that context.
You've said a few times, and I've heard other people say it as well, that it's impossible to prove anything for sure. Like, for example, like you said, we could have been created with false memories 5 minutes ago from a farting leprechaun. So, do you think it is literally impossible to disprove religion or like for 100% certainty?
Sort of. So I think that most religious beliefs can't be 100% disproven, but you can disprove certain kinds, the kinds that are self-contradictory. So the kinds that entail a self-contradiction, you can be pretty much certain they are false.
Would you be more open to like a deist, like their idea, like where it's a hands-off creator, like it's not a personal creator? Like, so it's not an Abrahamic religion, like it's just a creator deity, like a deist?
In one context, yes, and the fact that it's a simpler hypothesis because it entails less pieces to it. But on the other side, no, because there's equally as little evidence for it. So even though it's a simpler hypothesis in one respect, because no evidence has been provided that one exists, I wouldn't say that any argument could actually count as evidence for its existence. And so I wouldn't be open to it. I'd equally say they're both categorically impossible to justify based off of philosophical arguments, and you need some kind of novel testable predictions or some other kind of evidence to actually justify either one. I would say that one is a more ridiculous one, like a leprechaun with 10 teeth is less likely than just a leprechaun of any kind.
Do you think that religion is harmful, or do you think it serves an important sociological place with humanity?
It definitely serves a very important sociological function. That's why it's so prevalent in evolution. That's why so many societies have it. It has served to build a great deal of community and cohesion that was otherwise not there. And so it has lots of psychological and sociological benefits that promote human well-being.
What do you think about the fine-tuning argument that you often hear from both Muslim and Christian apologetics?
I think that it has several obvious fundamental flaws that are overlooked and not addressed, which are odd because they're so obvious. So, like, the number one issue is that the fine-tuned argument presumes there's other ways the universe could be, which we don't have any evidence for. Like, it could be the case that all of the laws of physics are entwined by some other unknown law of physics, in which case God determining the laws of physics is exactly the same as the laws of physics being determined by this other force. And the typical argument against that as well, there's no evidence in physics that there is such a defining law that determines all the other laws. Well, guess what? There's also no evidence in physics of a God. And so both of those equal footing, except one has a basis in reality and the other one is a combination of principles and particles that don't exist, like God particles. So that's the first problem. The second problem is if you grant the fine-tuning as evidence, the fine-tuning is defined as there is a large spectrum of possibilities and only a small percentage of which is a life-permitting combination. Well, that large spectrum of possibilities also exists for a God. So for every possible universe, there's a possible God who could want that possible universe. So if there's a universe of nothing but puppies, there could be a God who would want a universe of nothing but puppies. And so for each possible kind of universe, there's a possible kind of God to want it. And so there's an equal probability of life-permitting kinds of universes as life-permitting kinds of gods. So the theist has to say, oh, no, there's only one kind of God. There's necessarily the kind I imagine him to be, which really is a contradiction between theists of the Christian and Muslim variety using the exact same argument, because they're both claiming their imagined way God is the only way God could be. But obviously, you can imagine God being differently. You can imagine him only wanting puppies, or not drowning the world, or not destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. You can imagine God being lots of different ways. And so their argument is that the universe could be different because there's no evidence of a physical determining factor, and because we can imagine it be otherwise. But you can make the exact same argument for God. There's no evidence in physics that God can't be otherwise, and there's easy to imagine God being otherwise. And so every aspect of the fine-tuning argument applies to God himself as it would to the universe. And the probabilities, if you actually work them out, mean that God would have to be more finely tuned than the universe, because there's actually more possible ways God could be than there are possible ways the universe could be.
Have you ever done a debate against about like on fine tuning before, or no?
Yes, many. I invited on the world's two leading experts on the topic, Luke Barnes and Robin Collins. And in my conversation with Robin Collins, I got him to admit that nothing in the fine-tuning argument, nothing in the physics indicates a God. It's only when you presume there's this other working argument that indicates some particular nature of a God, like the moral argument, that the fine-tuned argument indicates anything at all. And so without that, it's completely useless. You have to assume the moral argument works first to indicate a God, and then once you have that evidence of a God, then you can use the fine-tuned argument. The fine-tuned argument is on its own is absolutely nothing.
What do you think is the worst argument that you've heard from Christians or Muslims, from like creationists?
The ontological argument, dumbest argument ever. It's even worse than the lights and colors prove Jesus and God. That argument is pretty dumb, but it's not quite as dumb as the ontological argument.
Why do you think it's the dumbest one?
Because it's obviously just trying to define God into existence and playing with words in order to make it seem like you have these made up properties that you've imagined to be the case, which are just abstract labels. And these abstract labels entail themselves circular reasoning. Therefore, that this abstract principle coalition must exist. It's very silly. And so the fact that any academic professor or philosopher proposes this argument is an absolute travesty of intellectual sadness.
I've heard you on a few occasions say that Hinduism has the best religious argument for the origin of the universe because of how long ago I believe their creation story goes. Could you like elaborate?
Yeah, Hinduism makes a novel testable prediction. It says in their Bhagavad Gita, it says the earth was created 4.3 billion years ago. It's pretty close. That's like 95% accurate. It's more accurate than any prediction in any other holy book or any kind of cosmological event ever. And so the fact that it was able to make a prediction about something we didn't know yet that wasn't discovered till like 6,000 years later is a very good indicator of some kind of evidence that their model is true. If their holy book was filled with these kinds of things, like if it could predict extinction events, societal collapses, economic collapses, and it could predict them with that level of accuracy, then that would be very, very good evidence that the book is true. So even if they're all only like 95% accurate or something, then that's phenomenal reason to believe that the book is true.
So you're more likely to convert to Hinduism than Christianity by what it sounds like, huh?
Yes, by some small percentage, because I mean, I'd still say Hinduism only has single digits of valid evidence, whereas Christianity has zero. One is better than zero.
Who do you think was the best Muslim apologist that you've debated that you felt like actually was a good sparring partner for you?
In one of the Muslim hangouts I was in, I was invited on, or the call-in show on. There was a elderly gentleman. I think he was bald, but he was very intelligent to talk to. I don't remember his name though. But Hamza Tortes, I think, is pretty smart. I don't think any of the other guys were very smart on that stream, but I know there was the guy with the red beard. I forgot his name. And a popular British one who goes to Speaker's Corner, but he wasn't the smart one. There was another one there, the older one, really nice shirt, really nice jacket. Forget his name though.
I'd like to see you like debate someone like are you familiar with Shabir Ali?
Yes.
I think he's been on Modern Day Debate. I'd like to see you debate him because I feel like he's pretty good. I feel like he tends to he tends to have more intellectual conversations with people from what I've seen. I think that'd be a interesting discussion between you two.
Yeah, I think he's more like a pastor. He's more like the pastor level. The guy, Case for Christ guy, Lee Strobel. He's like a Lee Strobel type. I'd say that Hamza Tortes would be better. He's very intelligent. The other guy, who I forgot his name, I have to look it up on my channel.
Who do you think was the best Christian that you've debated?
Rob Coons, Robin Collins, Barnes, Josh Rasmussen. They're all really good candidates. I like Pete Enns' position the best. I think his is the one that I think is the most intellectually accurate.
And what is his position?
There's not really any evidence. It's more just belief, personal experience in the Bible, and you just got to go based off of that. And so he agrees that none of the arguments actually work.
I will say, when you guys did the debate con, I was kind of looking forward to you and David Wood debating because I was like, oh, that should be interesting because I've caught a little bit of stuff from David before. I was incredibly disappointed. I thought he did a very poor job. I feel like he wasn't really engaging the conversation very well.
Yeah, I don't think he was prepared on any of those arguments because he mostly focuses on Islam and Islamic critiques. So I don't think he has as much experience addressing the kinds of arguments that I was bringing forth. And so it's just not his area. Not qualified to really have high-level debates on those topics, whereas he's more qualified on Islam.
Yeah, it's just that I believe he has a philosophy background, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why I guess I was just expecting a bit better show from him.
No idea what his background is. Found it. It's when I was on Hamza's Den, it was Imran. Imran is a really smart guy.
Bringing back to the held at gunpoint, you're going to have to make an argument. This one was going to hurt a little bit. It would hurt me as well. What would you say is the best in favor for the flat earth for the layperson? Because obviously anyone with any kind of research or observation would be able to know that there isn't any. But if you had to, like, what, I guess in a better way to ask this question is, what gets the layperson into the weird idea of the flat earth?
Well, there's more evidence of the flat Earth than there is for Christianity, so it's not too bad. But flat Earth position is mostly intuitive. It's a combination of hyper skepticism, so like conspiracy theory levels of just you can't trust the government, which has a lot of justification to it, and then you combine that with things like the world looks flat, and then you get flat Earth. So if you can trust nothing from the government says the world is round, but everything you see is flat. If everything you see in your limited experience contradicts what the government says, then doubt the government is essentially the flat Earth motto.
That's true. A lot of it is blame NASA. From what I mean, I've seen I think all of yours debates with flat earthers. It always starts with NASA, and then even if you don't bring it up, they want to bring it up somehow. Was that Wotan that just kept saying NASA, even though you didn't say anything about NASA whatsoever?
Probably Wotan is not really an experienced debater.
Who do you think was the worst or dumbest person that you've debated? Like you just think was just wow, like you can't believe that this is happening.
Well, there's different categories there. Like one, Dr. Frank Tipler. So Frank Tipler, Megapoint theory, rage quitted after I asked him one question and he didn't understand the question. That was pretty bad.
Jeez.
Obviously, forgot his name now. Mango's pretty dumb. Lightson, the Philip something, Bible truth guy, he's pretty dumb. Those are probably the top two candidates of the most dumb. Like at least Darth Dawkins and Godless Girl can form a coherent sentence.
For me, I had the Muslim apologist up there. Because his argument that he was stuck on for like 15, 20 minutes was that he was trying to say that Arabic was the most beautiful language. Yeah. As if that's... Yeah, I thought that was insane. Nathan Thompson's up there for me as well.
I don't think Nathan is stupid. I think he's very intelligent, but very deluded. So I definitely wouldn't put Nathan up there. I mean, I definitely would say Lights and Colors Prove God guy. That one was painfully dumb, and Mango is painfully dumb. Those two are. It's hard to like want to continue a conversation with them because what they're saying is just so gibberish.
Who do you think was the most difficult opponent you debated?
Rob Coons, probably.
Do you think that you've lost any debates?
Sure. Yeah, there was one with 9/11 conspiracy guy. I just didn't do any research on that, so he did better on that one. I think there was a COVID one that was similar. So there's been a few I just didn't do research on and wasn't prepared for.
Wow. What did you upload the 9/11 one?
They should be on my channel, and they were on Modern Day Debate too. So
how was debating Destiny like?
I've debated him several times. Three or four times now. He's more intelligent than the average debater. I think I schooled him on the critical race theory thing. But other than that, we were just regular conversations on morality. I think it was 3 on morality and 1 on critical race theory.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen the critical race theory one.
I was at the debate con with James.
One thing that I'll have to say about Destiny, generally, I enjoy his debates. He did one against Gavin McInnes recently. That was hilarious to watch. That was interesting. But one thing that I don't like, I don't think that he really does it to you as much, but I noticed that for a lot of his debate opponents, I think with the less experienced ones, or maybe the ones that he can kind of tell are less prepared, that he kind of hijacks the debate and almost makes it like he's questioning them the whole time. I don't know if you ever get that feeling, and I've noticed other people mention it in like comments complaining that he does that.
In mine, I pretty much let him ask me all the questions the entire time too, but that's the way I do most of my debates. I spend very little time talking, let everyone else ask me the questions. Mm-hmm. I think it probably seems that way if they're inexperienced because it seems like an attack and he's just destroying their position, attacking them so much. It seems brutal, and that's probably what makes it seem like hijacking the debate. But for me, I let people do that because that's kind of the point.
Did you at any time with DebateCon, did you ever plan on bringing your chair?
No, unless James was going to pay for the ticket.
Can you please make James pay for the ticket for your chair next time you guys do one?
I don't think James could afford that. It would probably bankrupt him.
I think a lot of people would love to see you have your chair.
And when I was in Georgia with Asta, Mike, and Don, we thought about just getting one of the chairs there or renting it or something. I'd like go to a
Oh,
lazy boy place and get one of those, get a similar chair.
that'd be pretty epic, actually. Why don't you just do DebateCon where you are? There you go. And then you can just like drive the chair.
Could possibly work, but too much work. I need like a truck.
Yeah, like a U-Haul or something. Just edit it in post. James just gotta edit it in there. Just get an editor to Photoshop it in there.
Cardboard cutout.
There we go. Okay, actually, that could be pretty funny. Like a cardboard cutout. You got a gaming channel, don't you?
Sort of. I have a second YouTube channel where I just repost all of my videos that I do on my main channel, and then I used to do gaming stuff on there. I haven't really done much gaming at all recently.
Why is that? Is that just because you've been focusing on this stuff?
Not really. I just lost interest in gaming for the most part. Used to be really hardcore into it. Like I said, top 10 on some of the hardest games ever. You can check my gaming profile. I used to have 100% completion on pretty much every game. I kind of just lost interest. Probably around the time I got more accomplishment from relationships with models than playing video games, and so it just stopped being as rewarding.
I'm sure there's probably some kind of psychological reason.
Yeah, the next game I'm looking forward to is the Harry Potter one. That one looks really good.
That does look really good. At first I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive, but then I think it's on PC and Xbox too. So kind of confused, but makes me happy because that means I can get it because I don't have a PS5. So it does look fun.
Probably be available by then because it's not like going to come out for another like 6 months or 7 months or something.
That's true. Yeah. I liked Elden Ring. That was the most recent like big title that I actually had a lot of fun playing.
I did not. I don't like the Dark Souls games.
This is my first Souls type of game, actually. So I have no background with Dark Souls or anything. I like the Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim, Oblivion, and Morrowind, so that's what got me to be like, oh, okay. It's kind of like that, but really hard. Let me try it. So
Plus, it's not hard. It's the point. It's so bad because it's the stamina bar just ruins the game. There's no really advantage to doing sword combat. It's mostly just use ranged
and magic
and spells. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just not skill based. It's stamina based, and that's kind of ruins the game because like Ninja Gaiden, you can do whatever you want. Any strategy, if you're good enough, will work. It doesn't work that way with Elden Ring. Elden Ring, you got to have the right stat build or the right counter build or the right weapon combination. Which is dumb. Like it should be based on memorizing the combos and getting your timing down, and that should be all that really matters. And because of the stamina bar and the stat system is so crappy, it's not skill based, it's stat based. And so the most fun way to play the Dark Souls game is to find some glitch to get an infinite experience, max out your stats, and then it becomes fun to play.
It's weird because Elden Ring, there's like a gajillion weapons, and you even get different classes to choose from, but then it seems like everyone always defaults to the same class and then the same attributes they put into. But I did a sword playthrough because I was like, screw it, I want to use a sword. That's what I always do whenever I played some kind of RPG. But yeah, it was definitely an uphill battle. Then if I played with anyone online, they were like using spells and just were like two-shotting bosses, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Did you ever play Shinobi on the PlayStation 2, I think?
Nope, never had a PlayStation 2.
It reminds me a lot of Ninja Gaiden, for example. I mean, you're both games are playing ninjas, but it's very difficult, but like in the fair way, and like you have to just kind of repetition, like, oh, you failed, okay, respawn, kind of figure out where the enemies are, what they do, and everything. It's really underrated. I think like Sega made it.
No, I had PS3, PS4. I had a 360, GameCube, and 64. Did not go for all of the systems.
Growing up, I don't know if you've heard of it, the Game Gear. I don't know if you know what that is. The Game Gear.
I've heard of it, but no, I don't. I don't remember anything about it.
So it was like my dad's, and I had that for a good while growing up, while everyone else had their like, you know, PS2s and stuff, and I was just like had this little handheld. Well, not even little; it was huge. And it came out around the same time as the original Game Boy, so it was impressive that it was in color while the Game Boy was black and white. But it ate up six AA batteries like nothing. Like it just ate them up. It was awful. Like maybe 15 minutes of game time.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I do have one bone to pick with you.
Sure.
You said that Himiko Toga was better than Uraraka. What was that about?
Oh, Himeko. Yes, Himeko is better. Yes. Himiko is a better character. For sure. Ochiko, yeah, Ochiko is a terrible character. Too cliche, too boring, too mild. Doesn't do anything interesting. Enough character development. There's not an interesting enough character, not enough flaws.
People always say she's just the new Sakura from Naruto.
Sakura was interesting. Sakura was like angry and yelly and had flaws. So she actually had some character development and stuff.
To be fair, Naruto has like how many seasons and like how many volumes of manga versus My Hero? So there's some time still, hopefully.
They have to like completely change her character to make her interesting.
Who knows? Maybe she'll like have an arc where she becomes a villain. Who knows?
That would be good.
That would be awesome, actually. I would love to see that. I was hoping they were going to do that with Bakugo, but then they didn't, so I was a little disappointed with that.
He couldn't be a villain. He's too much of a good guy.
Yeah,
but
he wants
yes, if she was just playing the nice girl the entire time, it was actually evil, that would be perfect.
That'd be such a cool twist. The whole internet would be talking about it. I think the other thing that you commented was something about Warframe.
Yeah, I did. I got all the best ribbons and all the trophies up until the last trophy patch.
Jeez. Far more.
Lenka, critical chance, critical damage, negative, recoil.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I think it cost 5,000 whatever platinum.
Yeah,
5,000 platinum.
Oh my god.
And I spent zero money on the game. I've never invested a penny in the game. It was all grinding and selling crap.
You see, you're evidence of when people say that game's pay to win, and I'm like, you realize that if you just grind it, like it's time consuming, but you cannot spend a dime in that game.
Yeah, I had those for pretty much every weapon. So I also had a multi-shot, a critical chance, critical damage multi-shot, negative, something else, recoil, I think.
Wow.
Lenka. Then the Lenka got nerfed, and then the ribbon stopped being valuable.
Oh, that's a fat rip. I don't remember what you responded to. It was either my best Warframe designs video or was the Warframe waifu tier list. I don't remember which one.
That was definitely the waifu one. I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what I said though. I think it was the Valkyrie chick.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was Valkyrie.
Invincible.
Yeah. You said that she was the best, right?
Yeah, I think it's the one that's was invincibility temporarily and has all the spikes on her.
Yeah, I think that's Valkyrie, yeah. Who did I make number one? I think the joke was that I put the boy Neza up there, was the joke, if I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shabir's on it. I had a little JPEG of Shabir in the corner. I forgot I did that. I did that because that's like an inside joke with one of my friends. Just don't worry about it. But alright, yeah, I put Saren and Neza at the top, and then Valkyrie was like Oh, I put Valkyrie at like the bottom. No wonder why you had such a heated response about it. Okay. Back to more regular questions. Kind of only got a few more here. Um, where did you so earlier you were telling me about your worldview and your like philosophy and epistemology. Where did you form it from? Like, did you have like an inspiration? Because like you hear about people really getting into like Plato and then being essentially a Platonist and being like, oh yeah, that's how I formed my worldview was from that.
Yeah, so I was in researching all the different kinds of principles in philosophy. I have a reading list on my channel, multiple places, Discord, and from all the different principles that I thought were important, I tried to categorize them, find the similarities and differences between them, and found that if you break them all down, they all fit into three or four really neat categories. And so if you combine all the really most important, most influential principles in philosophy, you get this three-tiered system out that works pretty well. Morality was just me thinking about morality and researching different moral principles and the paradoxes and trying to answer them and solve them. And when I came up with the answers, I found my version of morality.
Okay. Um, and you have debated in favor of capitalism a few times, maybe more, against communism, correct?
Yes, capitalism works. It produces some negative outside effects, but it overall produces lots of positive ones, more so than pretty much any other model we know of.
What was that? Who was it that you debated that like brought up, tried to say that, what was that weird Soviet pseudoscience thing? Um, oh my gosh. And the guy like said it like it was real or something.
Yeah, it's the pseudoscientific method Lysenko introduced in communist Russia
Right.
for growing wheat, and it killed all of the plants.
Yeah, I don't remember what his name was. I remember being like, wait, is that the thing that like I
Has
learned about in like high school of being like, completely faulty and wrong when we covered the Soviet Union and stuff? Yeah, just
Yes, that was Kaz is his name. I don't remember what his handle is.
is it
He was also at the
infrared?
debate con. Yes, that's
Okay.
it. Infrared Kaz. And he believes in all of the crazy Chinese conspiracy theories, like there are no internment camps for the Uyghurs. Uh,
Wow.
there is no prisons for people with COVID. China doesn't do military invasions and things. He's just that Xi Jinping is a good guy and not a mass murderer.
If I'm not mistaken, he argued that Ukraine provoked Russia also, and so Russia.
Probably.
I think he debated that with Destiny, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's a
Yeah.
modern day debate. But yeah, he was like saying Ukraine provoked, and so that's so the Russia invasion and attacks is fine and warranted and just. And then Destiny was like, what? Yeah. So he's really deep into the Soviet bootlicking then, huh?
Yes.
That's weird. I tend to not see, usually when I talk to people that say they're communists, or even people I know, like from college and stuff, they're like, "Oh, I'm a communist. I like communism. That's better than capitalism." They never like, yeah, definitely the Soviets. That's the good model. That's the that's the golden standard. That's weird. They usually try to distance themselves and say it's not real communism. That's like always the, oh, it's not real socialism, not real communism. But that's, he just goes all in, huh?
There'd be lots of reasons I don't really do well when trying to assess people's justifications. I just tend to think they actually believe the things they're saying. Only two people who I would genuinely say were Poes, who could arguably not actually believe the things that they're saying. but I wouldn't say Kaz is one of them. I think he actually believes the Chinese propaganda.
Oh yeah, I think he genuinely believes it. I'm not trying to say he's like being disingenuous or whatever. I just trying to I just don't know why that's the stance he chooses. I'm sure he actually does believe it all. Do you think that there's any well, obviously there kind of are. I feel like you can't really say that there aren't. But do you think that there's like room for improvement with capitalism?
Sure, obviously,
Yeah,
not perfect. It's just the least
bad.
bad system we have.
Do you have any ideas like what improvements we could make upon it?
Sure, I'm for a mixed economy. We can literally just copy other countries who do other things better, and that's the correct way to do it. If you see another country that has a successful model, like England has the best education system, they use a voucher system, use a voucher system. Most countries have a better healthcare system than America. Copy their healthcare system. Most countries have better track records on gun violence, so copy their gun violence laws. If other countries do things better, just copy what they're doing, and that's the best way to do it. Just basic evolution. If a different organism does something better, copy it.
Do you think that we don't do that because either A, the politicians just don't care and are lazy and just want to enjoy their power and money they have, or two, it's just American exceptionalism where they actually just think that we're doing it better even though statistically we are not doing it better?
Yeah, it's mostly political reasons. Like legalization of marijuana is obvious. It's something that a lot of countries have done, and it's a positive benefit for everybody. But we don't do it because of large portion of the population is against it ideologically. So most of the reasons we don't do things is for ideological reasons, not for scientific reasons.
Where do you align yourself politically? Not party wise. I'm not going to try to put you into a party, but like, do you lean more conservative, more liberal? I mean, I'm pretty sure you lean liberal, correct? Like classical liberalism.
Yeah, center left is where I am. Same with like Sam Harris. What's his name? Eric Weinberg, I think is his name. Is that? I don't, probably not his name. Not Weinberg. Oh, I forgot his name now. Wielenberg, Eric Wielenberg, is that right? Eric. The guy who is like center left. I'm center left, like Sam Harris. That's a good one. We'll go with that.
Do you see or like feel that both sides are getting more extreme and that you're kind of just left like, where did everyone go? Or do you think that there's more people that actually do truly align with you and that it's just the smaller groups that are more vocal and loud?
Partially both. So, as any kind of like disease, if you put in a vaccination or something, or a something that'll kill the malaria virus, the ones that survive are going to be more prevalent. And so, in the case of politics, Republicans and Democrats, the conflict between them has worked as an immunization for the center groups, leading to more extremist positions being the ones that have survived. And if you're more in the center and you don't survive the echo chamber politics, which results in a more bipartisanship because as Republicans start to lose power, and more people transition more to the left or more to the right, the middle ground gets lost, especially in our two-party system, because there's not really an opportunity to vote for the third party. So you have to choose one or the other, and the most reliable way to gain votes is to be more extreme towards that party and to compromise less.
You think we should just do away with the two-party system?
Well, we should just have ranked choice voting so that you can vote for your preferred party like first and then Democrat second, or whatever. And so your vote, if your first party doesn't get selected, it just gets transferred to the next.
I brought him up briefly before when I was asking about where you got your philosophy from, but how do you view Plato? because I feel like that he's a lot of people, philosophers or people that are getting into philosophy tend to always you hear about Plato, Plato's Republic, and like he's a pretty big golden standard as far as it goes with Western thought. So, do you think how do you feel his ideas? Do you think his ideas were good, or do you think the impacts that his thought and thinking has had on Western society is good, or do you think all of his stuff was junk and just hot garbage?
I think it's more that because he was one of the original philosophers, that's the first thing people learn about when they start studying philosophy, and then they don't really go much deeper. And so he's easy to get attached to because he's influential, and he articulated many of the most base level ideas in philosophy, which essentially whoever came first was going to do anyway. And people just don't explore in depth more thought out, detailed positions, and so they get interested in his position because it's the earliest and the easiest to understand. I really don't care. For me, I don't have any role models in philosophy. I value the ideas specifically, not the individuals or collections of their ideas.
And how do you feel? Okay, so with the actual ideas of Platoism, then, um, how do you feel that how much more different or beneficial do you think that Neo-Platonism is versus the original? Do you think,
None.
do you have none? Okay, so do you think that
Platonic
the
objects are
original is bad?
just as dumb in either version.
Okay, gotcha. Neoplatonism heavily influenced Christianity um, and Christian thought, especially the Gnostics, especially latched on to a lot of that. A lot of Christian apologists don't really realize that the exchange in ideas were happening like that, where a lot of their um, philosophy comes from Neoplatonism.
I think it was more that just latched on to the abstract objects argument, because the abstract argument it helps them support their idea of a non-physical mind, non-physical ideas, and you need some kind of a non-physical mind thingy to do stuff. And so they just latched onto those kind of arguments, same like what they did with the Muslim arguments and the Jewish arguments. Any argument that seems to help their position, they latch onto. And the origin and whether how it was introduced, I don't think matters all that much. Like they obviously steal from other worldviews, and they make this argument that everything comes from Christianity, but the origin is just a genetic fallacy. The origin of the argument doesn't work. What matters is what the argument actually is.
Dr. William Lane Craig, that's a big Christian philosopher, and he got his argument from Islam. For his cosmological argument that he makes what would a debate between you two be like? I wonder.
Around square, because he doesn't debate anybody who doesn't have a PhD.
Okay, that's fair. Do you think you'd be able to smoke him, or do you think that he'd be a formidable opponent for you?
I imagine he would be rather formidable because he tends to do his research, and that's why he doesn't debate people who doesn't have PhDs, because he's going to research into your position quite thoroughly and write out and come up with arguments specifically to counter your position, which is a very good, intelligent debate tactic. And so in that respect, he would probably be very formidable, that he'd be prepared to address my arguments more thoroughly than most people.
So the exact opposite of what David Wood did then.
Probably, yeah.
I wish that could happen, you two debating, but like you said, that's probably never going to happen because of the difference. I don't really see him debate much often nowadays anyway, at all.
Yep.
So
he does have health issues. He's open to conversations, though, so we might be able to get a conversation, but a long shot unless I can gain significantly more popularity. If I can get like 100,000 subscribers, then he'd probably be up to it.
Maybe if that atheist church like just full on takes off, then maybe he'd be interested.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you tell me more about your atheist church? I saw that you open up the funding for it?
Yeah, the goal is to create an atheist organization that is as successful as Christian churches. So I want to take advantage of all the nonprofit benefits and do something to build a community for atheists that is as beneficial to the community as the churches are to their communities, offering child support, housing, temporary jobs, cars, whatever people need. And to do that, my goal is to start an apartment building because we need a large amount of funding. It normally comes from churches, from donations, which is much harder to get from an atheist organization. And the apartment building can be geared around my model of objective morality, to decrease the cost of living for as many people as much as possible, which is the way we can pragmatically move towards the best of all possible worlds morality model. So we can offer rent at an affordable rate, kind of like similar organizations here in Minnesota, the NOAA Impact Fund, not a naturally occurring affordable housing fund. So the goal would be to start an apartment building offering at affordable rates, use that to fund a church, and have the church host Sunday events, lectures, debates, atheist organizations, and do church stuff, but for atheists.
So what if there was a onlooker that saw like your ideas and concepts, which I think are really interesting, and like you said, wanting to build community and bring benefit to the greater community, which I think is all great and awesome things. How would you respond to somebody like maybe a critic that said, well, aren't you just making a religion at this point if you have a what could be interpreted as tenets by it being your objective morality that like your epistemology, and then also you're doing things on a specific day, Sunday, that could be interpreted as ritualistic. How would you respond to someone that's like, well, didn't you just make a religion then? Are you not an atheist now? Like, how would you respond to that?
Just be like, yes, it is, and it's better than yours. So the goal here is to essentially just adopt that criticism, kind of like how the LGBT community adopted the term gay when it was used as a pejorative. They just said, we're going to take that and own it. And I think that's a good idea in the context of atheism, because churches are a very valuable, positive institution. And if we can do it better than Christians can, that would be a force for good in the world and a way to undermine the moral authority, the sanctimoniousness of the religious right.
Could you see religious groups, like whether it be Christians or Muslims or whatever, Sikhs, be like, hey, we actually like that you're doing this because it's charity work and we value charity works in our faith, so we actually think you're doing a good thing, so we support you? Or do you not see that ever happening?
Yeah, a lot of secular religions would be down to support it. I definitely want to partner with like Christians to do debates for sure. And there are some Christian organizations who have a similar housing project that they're already doing. And so I definitely want to partner with Christian churches to host more interfaith conversations. And I have many people who are Christians who are supporting my project because it's like what you said, of supporting humanity and benefiting other people in a way that improves lives. And so there are many Christians who do that already.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, and I hope that it takes off because I think it'd be pretty awesome and very beneficial. So I hope
Yeah, but link in the description to my GoFundMe.
yes, 100%. I will put it in there. Absolutely. Pinned comment too, so no one can miss it. All right, Thomas Jump. I think that is everything. I think, looking at my notes. Yeah, I think that is everything.
Thanks for inviting me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TJump.
Thank you for being here. I thought it was pretty awesome being able to talk to you.
Yeah, anytime.
I guess I'll see you in the YouTube comments debating Warframe waifus at some point in the future.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go take a nap because I haven't gotten any sleep yet.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of AVARICE. It was a really awesome opportunity to be able to talk to the philosopher and debater TJump. Remember to go check out his Secular Atheist Church GoFundMe in the description, or you can take a look at it in the pinned comment. And please check out TJump. Very cool guy, really cool debates that he does. And also, why not go check out Modern Day Debate as well. They're a neutral platform that do all kinds of debates ranging from science, politics, and philosophy. It's really interesting and very stimulating. I highly recommend it. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like this video, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be trying to pump out more of these as often as I can. And yeah, so I guess I will see you all in the next video.